Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is the last video in the 5-part series on resistance training, and today's video is planning and progression. So in this video we're going to go over some of the movement patterns / muscle groups that are being used and why it's useful to know the secondary muscles, and then we're going to get into volume, intensity and frequency, which is really the foundation of any resistance training program. Okay, so we're going to start off with volume. So volume is basically the amount of work being performed. So this can be measured in a variety of different ways. Some people like to measure the total load, which would be your weight times your set times your reps. But a very easy and a very good way of doing it would be to measure just the sets performed per week. So if you were a beginner to an intermediate level, try and aim between 10 to 20 sets per muscle group or movement pattern per week. So for example, if you look over here, so if you perform, so for example, you're a beginner, try and perform 10 sets on a hip hinge, 10 sets on the squat, 10 sets on a horizontal push, 10 sets on horizontal pull, 10 sets on your vertical push, and 10 sets on your vertical pull. This will give you a very well-rounded workout. But if, for example, if you're a bodybuilder and you want to look very even throughout your whole physique, you may want to take into account some of the crossover that could happen from exercise to exercise. So if you look down in the secondary muscles used here, for example, if you see shoulders are being hit 3 times as a secondary muscle and also 1 time as a primary muscle. So for example, if you are a bodybuilder, you may not want to do quite as much horizontal pushing for your shoulders because they're being utilized as a secondary muscle in a lot of other exercises. So take that into account when you are designing your program. This will also apply to your arms. So if you can see, you've got triceps and biceps a few times as secondary muscles as well. So you may not have to do a separate day just for your arms. So I've also put some rep ranges in here for you as well. So if you're looking to build strength, then you want to do all of these movement patterns or muscle groups want to be in the 1 to 6 rep range. So this is a strength building rep range. And you want to design your program so 2/3 to 3/4 of these movement patterns are done in this specific rep range. And then you can do the rest of the 1/3 to 1/4, good maths, in the other kind of rep range, so from 6 to 15. And then if you're looking to build muscle, again, do from 2/3 to 3/4 of all of these movement patterns or the muscle groups want to be in the 6 to 12 rep range. So this is the more kind of muscle building rep range. And then the rest, the final 1/3 to 1/4 of those reps can be done in the 1 to 6, so strength building, or even higher from example 12 to kind of 20 rep range. Okay, so it's all written down here. So if you want to take a picture of this, take a picture of this, and this will help you design in your program. So intensity, this is fairly easy. This really just refers to the weight on the bar, or it can be how intense the actual session is, so your RPE scale. Like we said in the previous video, try and get a +5 RPE. This is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. And frequency, this refers to how many sessions you're going to do per week. So it has been proven that doing movement patterns or muscle groups, training them more than once a week, so twice per week plus, is going to be superior than just doing it once a week. So for example, if you were to do a hip hinge, if you're a beginner, you had to do 10 sets of hip hinging. If you did 10 sets of hip hinging on a Monday, it would be superior to break it up and do 5 sets on a Monday and then 5 sets on a Thursday. So breaking it up would be superior, which really makes sense if you think about it. If you did all 10 sets on one day, you're going to start fatiguing a lot on that day. So if you microdose it throughout the week, that is optimal. But again, it does come down to your goal. So remember on video 1, if you can only make it to once a week, then is optimal. Optimal is only optimal for you. Okay, so think about that. But the more frequent, the better. So if you can microdose it, you will get better gains because you'll be fresher throughout the session. So as you can see, frequency really does organize volume and intensity. So going ahead, when you're trying to progress, you want to start with a minimal effective dose. So start with 10 sets, don't start with 20. You want room to grow. Okay, so again, if you did start with 10 sets, then you can start increasing from there, 11 sets, 12 sets, and so on as your weeks go on. You can obviously increase the reps, you can increase the weight, you can also increase the RPE. And then once all of this has started plateauing, and then that's when you want to increase the frequency. Okay, so to have this the last thing to increase, So increase all of this before you add another session. Also, if you can do different phases. So as you see here, it says more muscle, more strength, more muscle. So this just refers to having more muscle gives you a greater capacity to build more strength, and the other way around. So if you do hit a plateau, it is sometimes good just to go through a purely strength building phase. So you'll build more strength, which will then land you build more muscle, or the other way around. Okay, and that is it. That's the end of the resistance training phase. If you do have any questions, like always, drop them below, like, subscribe, and I'll probably still see you next week, but it's a different video. Cheers, guys.